And welcome back. As we go ahead and wrap up our conversation around Python, we've of course have already talked about class inheritance, but now let's extend that conversation to see how we can use polymorphism in Python. So talking about class polymorphism, polymorphism is very often used in class methods where it can have multiple classes that might have the same method name. So for example, let's say we have three classes. We have car, boat, and plane, and they all have this method called move. So for example, if we look at the plane class, it might have a method that might be defined as def move, print fly, and that's the method that we would use. Now, because of polymorphism, we can execute the same method for all the classes. For example, I could say for x in car 1, boat 1, plane 1, x.move, and it would call the move method in each of those classes. Now notice we aren't having to have separate things set up, but again, it's because they are derived classes, or classes that exist that we can use these for. Now, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here because, of course, we see this very often in derived classes in things like Java. So how can we extend that same thing here? With inheritance class polymorphism, we can answer the question of what about those derived classes? If we had a parent class, for example, called vehicle, and let's say we make car, boat, and plane derived classes of vehicle, well, the child classes are going to inherit those vehicle methods, but again, because of the properties of inheritance, we can override those methods. Derived classes inherit the properties and methods from those parent classes, which of course we're already familiar with. And if we pop on over to Visual Studio Code, we can see this right in action. So here we have that class vehicle, and we've defined it, taken a self-branded model, and we have a move method here that we can of course just print out move. All right, notice it's not being specific to one of the vehicle types. However, if we go ahead and look at some of these other ones, so for example, we have class car, it's pulling in a pass, which means it's not expecting to make any changes. However, it's calling for a specific type called car. Then, of course, we have a one for boat, and you see it's now going to print out sail, and for plane, it's going to print out fly. And we can, of course, define these to be their own objects. So, for example, here's car 1, boat 1, and plane 1, which are of course all getting their own properties defined in. And of course, notice there's two parameters to match each of the parameters that are defined here within the vehicle class. Then I'm simply just going to, with this for each loop, call out, of course, the brand and model of each of these. And then I could, of course, call that move method that we were looking at here. So if I go ahead and give this a quick run, you can see we get the Ford Mustang move, is a Touring 20 with sail, and a Boeing 747 with fly. So it's again a quick way for us to see how some of these different pieces are working here. This is not something completely foreign to us. Of course, we're used to polymorphism and how we can use that class structure with Java. And so we can extend some of that same learning here to Python and how we can use that here.